Please like this video. I really need your support right now. It's the only way this story can reach more people. Thank you so much for being here with me and for your support. Are you actually incapable of doing one simple thing without making it weird? Natalie didn't even look up from her phone. She said it like she was ordering a coffee she didn't like. I had just set a mug on the counter. Not slammed it. Not dropped it. Set it down. I paused with my keys still in my hand. It's a mug. She finally lifted her eyes, gave me that little half smile like I was a child who'd wandered into traffic. And you still managed. That was the new normal. Every morning felt like walking into a room where the temperature could change without warning. Some days she was quiet and distant. Other days she was sharp, like she'd been saving up comments all night. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have stopped trying to fix the mood and started protecting my peace a lot sooner. Did something happen? I asked, keeping my voice level. Because you're talking to me like I'm a stranger who left the cart in the middle of the aisle. Natalie tapped her screen. Nothing happened. I'm just tired. Burnout. Can you not make it a thing? It's already a thing, I replied. You're making it one sentence at a time. She shrugged like my words were background noise. Okay, Mark. That, okay, wasn't agreement. It was dismissal. We'd been married long enough that we used to finish each other's sentences. We had our dumb little routines. Late night talks on the couch. Saturday breakfast. Plans that felt solid. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Then something shifted. The warmth drained out and got replaced with constant criticism. I couldn't ask a question without getting a sigh. I couldn't laugh at something without getting a look. I did what most guys do at first. I assumed it was me. I started compensating. Flowers for no reason. Dinner reservations. Laundry. Dishes. Little notes. I took on almost everything at home because I told myself, she's burned out. Be the man. Carry the weight. She accepted all of it like it was her paycheck. One night I came home with takeout and a small gift bag. Nothing fancy. Just something I knew she used to like. Natalie glanced in, barely moved her eyebrows. You bought this, why? Because I thought of you, I said. She exhaled through her nose. Must be nice to have that kind of time. I stared at her. I'm literally trying. Yeah, she said, voice flat. Trying to get credit. I set the bag on the table. Natalie, what do you want from me? She stood up, slid her phone into her pocket like she was holstering a weapon. I want you to stop interrogating me. And maybe learn how to act like an adult without needing applause. That's when I caught the thought that scared me. I was the only one fighting for this marriage. She was just collecting benefits and rewriting the rules whenever she felt like it. The next morning, I changed my approach. Not with a lecture, with boundaries. Over breakfast, I pushed my plate back and said, we're doing separate schedules this week. I'm not doing the nightly walk on eggshells routine. Natalie blinked. What does that mean? It means if you want to talk, we talk respectfully, I told her. If you want to throw jabs, I'll be in my office or at the gym. I'm not available for target practice. She let out a laugh like I'd told a joke at a bad time. Oh my God. Listen to you. I lifted an eyebrow. Yeah, listen to me. That's the point. Mark, you're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being clear. That was my first move. Not punishment. New rules. Access to me was no longer automatic. For about 12 hours, she acted like I'd offended her religion. Then came the first illusion. That evening, she showed up in the doorway while I was working, holding a mug of coffee like it was a peace offering. Hey, she said, softer than she'd been in weeks. I've been snappy. Work's been a lot. I didn't jump up and hug her. I just nodded. Noted. She stepped closer, put the coffee down. I'm serious. I don't want us to be like this. I looked at her for a second. Her tone was right. Her face was right. The timing was suspicious. Then stop being like this, I replied. She reached out and brushed my shoulder. I'll try. I let that sit without rewarding it. Trying is visible. I'll notice. She gave a small smile, like she'd expected me to melt, and instead I stayed made of steel. That night was calm. Too calm. Like a store that's quiet because the manager is watching. A few days later, she started disappearing more often. I'm going out with Lauren, she'd say, already halfway into her coat. We need a girls' night. I need to breathe. Lauren was her best friend. They'd known each other forever. Lauren was the kind of woman who remembered birthdays and actually listened when someone spoke. She was also the only person in Natalie's orbit who didn't treat me like a household appliance. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to more people. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. The first time Natalie said it, I didn't argue. Have fun, I told her. Text me when you're heading home. She rolled her eyes. I'm not a teenager, Mark. I didn't say you were, I replied. That's just basic courtesy. She walked out anyway, leaving the door a little too hard. I tried to ignore the itch in my gut. Not jealousy, pattern recognition. Then it happened. I was at the store after work, grabbing groceries, and I saw Lauren in the frozen aisle. Alone, calm, in leggings and a hoodie, reading the back of a box like her life wasn't on some late-night, girls' night schedule. I stood there for a second, basket in my hand, just watching to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Lauren looked up, and her face brightened. Mark, I walked over. Hey, didn't expect to see you. She held up the box. I'm trying to pretend I cook. You know, adult theater. I chuckled. Natalie said you two were together tonight. Lauren's smile faltered. Just a beat. But it was enough. Tonight, she repeated. Yeah, I said, keeping it casual. She texted earlier. Said she was with you. Lauren stared at me like she was doing math she didn't want to do. That's weird. My stomach went still. Why? We haven't seen each other in a while, she admitted. We've been texting, but tonight? No. I didn't react big. I didn't need to. The puzzle piece slid into place on its own. Lauren lowered her voice. She's been complaining about you. Of course she has, I replied dry. Lauren winced. Not fair stuff. More like, you're not doing enough. You don't get her. You're behind. I stared at the freezer door. I've been carrying the house like a moving company. I know, Lauren said quickly. That's why it didn't sit right with me. I looked at her then. Really looked. She wasn't smirking. She wasn't gossiping for fun. She looked uncomfortable and a little protective. Lauren added, quieter. If I'm being honest, men like you aren't common. There was something in her tone, warm, slightly teasing, but not reckless. More like she was reminding me of something I'd forgotten. I wasn't crazy for expecting respect. I gave her a half smile. Careful. Compliments might go to my head. Lauren let out a small laugh. From what I hear, you could use one. I paid for my groceries and left with a new intrigue loop burning in my mind. If Natalie wasn't with Lauren, where was she? I didn't confront Natalie that night. I watched. Over the next week, the girls' nights multiplied, and the excuses got smoother. Lauren's having a hard time, she'd say dramatic. I'm supporting my friend. Then I'd see Lauren at the gym the same night, earbuds in, living her normal life. The second loop opened. Natalie wasn't just leaving. She was using Lauren as a shield. The third loop was money and control. Natalie started dropping comments like casual bombs. We should update the house, she said one morning. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing to who? I asked. To people with standards, she replied, stirring her coffee like she was in a board meeting. My co-workers have nicer places. There it was. Co-workers. Always co-workers lately. Always someone she wanted to impress. We're not remodeling because your office has opinions, I told her. She smiled thinly. It's not just that. We need to keep up. I leaned back in my chair. Here's the deal. Household budget stays as is. My savings stays separate. If you want extra projects, you can fund them. Her eyes sharpened. So now you're controlling money? No, I corrected. I'm controlling access to my money. Big difference. Natalie scoffed. Wow, you're really on a power trip lately. Call it whatever helps you sleep, I replied. I'm done being the automatic yes. She stood, grabbed her bag. You're impossible. And you're not mysterious, I said calm. You're just acting like someone with a backup plan. Her head snapped toward me. Excuse me. I shrugged. If it doesn't apply, don't wear it. She walked out without answering. That silence was an answer. Later that day, I texted Lauren. Not flirting. Not drama. Just a straight line. Me. Can we talk for 10 minutes? Somewhere public. She replied fast. Lauren, yes. Are you okay? We met at a small cafe near downtown. Noon crowd. Noise. Normal life. I chose it on purpose. I don't do emotional chaos in private rooms. Lauren arrived, slid into the seat across from me, eyes searching my face. What's going on? I kept it simple. Natalie's been using your name. A lot. Lauren's mouth tightened. I figured. How long have you known? I asked. I didn't, she said. Not until the store. And then a few things made sense. I nodded once. I'm not asking you to spy. I'm asking you to tell me if there's something I should already know. Lauren took a breath. She's been pulling away for a while, talking about her job like it's her real life, and you're a roommate. I stared at my coffee. That's generous. Lauren leaned in slightly. Mark, I don't like saying this, but she's been performing. Always making sure she looks like the good one. Yeah, I said. That's her favorite hobby. Lauren hesitated. There's a guy at her office. I didn't flinch. I didn't ask, who, like a desperate teenager. I asked the only thing that mattered. Is he part of her keep-up plan? Lauren's eyes dropped for half a second. I think so. I let the quiet stretch. Lauren reached across the table, touched my hand briefly. Not romantic. Grounding. You don't deserve to be treated like this. I pulled my hand back gently. I appreciate that. But I'm not looking for comfort. I'm looking for clarity. Lauren nodded. Then watch patterns. She's not going to tell you the truth. I know, I said. Truth doesn't help her plan. Lauren's cheeks flushed a little. For what it's worth, you're handling this better than most men would. I smirked. Most men confuse volume with strength. When we stood to leave, Lauren said, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I met her eyes. I might, but I'm not going to do anything that turns this into a circus. Lauren gave a small, respectful nod. Fair. When I got home, Natalie was already there, scrolling on her phone, pretending I didn't exist. I didn't chase her attention. I opened my laptop and changed a few practical things, moved my direct deposit to my personal account, set my bills to autopay from there, and drew a clean line between my responsibility and her spending. Not petty, not dramatic. Adult logistics. When she noticed a couple days later, she didn't ask politely. What did you do? She snapped, standing in the hallway like a guard. I didn't look up from my screen. I streamlined. You moved money. I moved my income, I corrected. House bills are still covered. Natalie folded her arms. So you don't trust me? I finally looked at her. You've been lying with Lauren's name in your mouth. Trust isn't a gift. It's a result. Her voice went sugary. You're being paranoid. I smiled without warmth. And you're being predictable. That night, she tried the second illusion. She showed up in my office wearing the soft sweater she knew I liked, holding 2 plates like she'd suddenly become a domestic angel. I made dinner, she said, too sweet. I didn't move. Why? Natalie blinked. Because I love you. I nodded slowly. Try again. Her smile tightened. Okay. Because you've been cold and I don't like it. So you show up with dinner, I said, and you expect the old me to come back. Natalie set the plates down, stepped close, slid her arms around my shoulders from behind. Overly affectionate, like a salesperson with a quota. Mark, she murmured, I miss us. I stood up and gently peeled her arms off. If you miss us, act like it when you're not trying to get something. Her eyes flashed anger for a split second before she masked it. You're exhausting. I grabbed my keys. And you're not my job. I left the house and went to the gym. While I was there, I ran into my friend Dwayne, mid-40s, loud, blunt, the kind of guy who could smell nonsense from across a parking lot. He pointed at my face. You look like a man who sleeps next to a stranger. I laughed once. That's a pretty accurate diagnosis. Dwayne leaned on the counter. You finally gonna do something about it? Or you gonna keep playing Mr. Understanding? I'm doing something, I said. I'm watching. I'm adjusting. Dwayne snorted. Good. Because disrespect doesn't get better with patience. It gets bolder. I nodded. Yeah, I'm noticing. 2 days later, Natalie texted me in the late afternoon. Natalie, working late. New project. Don't wait up. I read it twice. No emotion. Just data. I didn't reply. Not as a punishment. As a signal, your words don't automatically deserve my attention. Then I made a decision. I drove to her office. Not to cause a scene. Not to beg for a conversation. I wanted one thing. Confirmation. Reality. No more guessing. I parked across the street where I had a clear view of the entrance. Engine off. Lights dim. I sat there like a man watching weather roll in. Time moved slow. The building emptied out in waves. A few people walked out alone, tired, phones in hand. Then the door opened again. Natalie stepped out, laughing. Not polite laughter. Not work laughter. Real laughter. The kind I hadn't heard from her in months. A man walked beside her. Mid-30s maybe. Confident posture. The type who wears his job like armor. He put a hand at the small of her back like it belonged there. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to more people. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. Natalie didn't pull away. She leaned into him like gravity. I didn't react. I didn't slam my steering wheel. I didn't whisper, no, like a movie character. I just watched. Calm, cold, clear. They moved toward his car, still talking. Natalie's face was open, warm, alive. So the warmth wasn't gone. It was just rerouted. She got into his passenger seat. Door closed. Car rolled out. I waited 3 seconds, then started my engine and followed at a distance. Not reckless, not fast, just steady. They drove across town and pulled up to a hotel. A plain one. Not flashy, not a vacation spot. Just a place you go when you don't want to go home. The man stepped out, walked around, opened her door. Natalie smiled at him like he'd done something noble. They went inside together without looking around. No hesitation. No, this feels wrong. Just routine. And that's where something in me switched off. Not love. Love had been dying for months. It was hope. I sat there for a minute, hands resting on the wheel, and felt nothing except a clean, quiet certainty. This was the kill shot to respect. Not because another man existed. Because my wife had been treating me like garbage while saving her best version of herself for someone else. Then coming home and calling it burnout. I drove home like a man coming back from a business meeting. Not shaking. Not dramatic. Just finished. When I walked in, the house was quiet. I didn't pace. I didn't rehearse speeches. I packed a bag with essentials, clothes, documents, my laptop, a couple sentimental items. I put it in the trunk of my car. I made the guest room my room. I moved anything important out of shared spaces. Then I called Lauren. She picked up on the second ring. Mark, I need you to come over, I said. Tonight. Lauren's voice sharpened. What happened? I'll tell you when you get here, I replied. And I need you calm. I'm on my way, she said, no hesitation. Lauren arrived 20 minutes later, hair still damp like she'd rushed out of her place. She stepped inside, took one look at me, and her face softened. You saw something, she said. I nodded. I followed a work-late text. Lauren exhaled slowly. Oh, we sat in the living room. I told her the facts. The office, the car, the hotel. No labels. No dramatic words. Just the timeline. Lauren listened with her hands folded tight in her lap. When I finished, she shook her head once. That's not burnout, she said quietly. That's planning. I leaned back. Yeah, and I'm done being part of it. Lauren reached out, touched my shoulder again. You didn't deserve this. I looked at her. Don't make me a charity case. She gave a small, sad smile. Fine. You didn't earn this. That's better, I said. We waited. The clock moved. The house stayed still. Then the front door opened. Natalie walked in, heels in hand, hair slightly messed, face lit with leftover excitement that died the second she saw Lauren sitting across from me. Her expression froze. Then her eyes narrowed. What is this? She demanded. I stayed seated. A reality check. Natalie's gaze snapped between us. Why is she here? Lauren didn't speak first. Smart woman. I did. Because you keep using her as your cover. Figured she deserved front row seats. Natalie scoffed, tossing her keys on the entry table. Oh, so you two are doing this now. Cute. I raised an eyebrow. You walked in at midnight, and your first move is sarcasm. Consistent. Natalie stepped forward, chin up. Where have you been? I smiled slightly. Watching you lie. Her face flickered. Just for a second. Then she put the mask back on. You're paranoid, she said. This is why I can't talk to you. Lauren finally spoke, calm but firm. Natalie, don't do that. Don't rewrite the room. Natalie whipped her head toward Lauren. Stay out of it. Lauren didn't flinch. You pulled me into it every time you used my name. Natalie turned back to me, eyes cold. So what, Mark? You set up a little ambush. No, I replied. I set a boundary. Big difference. Natalie laughed, sharp and ugly. You and your boundaries. You're not some therapist podcast. I leaned forward slightly. And you're not a queen. You're my wife. Or you were. Her smile tightened. Oh, please. You should be grateful I'm even still here. Lauren's eyes widened. She looked at Natalie like she couldn't believe the words actually came out. I nodded slowly. That's the line you chose? Natalie shrugged. Truth hurts. Not tonight, I said. Tonight, truth ends. Natalie's face hardened. What is that supposed to mean? It means I saw you, I told her. At your office. With him. I followed you. I watched you walk into a hotel. The room went silent. Natalie didn't deny it right away. That was the loudest answer she could have given. Then she tried to pivot. You followed me, she snapped. That's creepy. That's controlling. I gave a short laugh. You're standing here fresh from a hotel, and you want to critique my behavior. The confidence is impressive. Natalie's voice rose. You're insane. Lauren stood up, stepping closer to me, not aggressive, just present. She put an arm around my back, a steadying gesture. Natalie saw it, and her face changed, like she'd been waiting for a different story to tell herself. Oh my God, Natalie spat. So that's what this is. You're doing this with her. I looked at Natalie like she'd just tried to sell me a broken chair. Listen to yourself. Natalie pointed at Lauren. You're disgusting. Lauren's voice stayed even. Natalie, you don't get to play moral referee tonight. Natalie's eyes turned watery, and for a split second I saw the panic. Not guilt. Panic. Losing control panic. She took a step toward me. Mark, okay. I've been stressed. I made a mistake. Can we just talk, just us? I stood up. Calm. No. Natalie blinked hard. What do you mean no? I mean you had months to treat me like a husband, I replied. You chose to treat me like an inconvenience. I was burned out, she said quickly. You don't understand my job. I nodded. I understand lying. I understand contempt. I understand you saving your warmth for someone else and bringing your bitterness home to me. Natalie's voice cracked. It wasn't like that. I grabbed the guest room key from my pocket and held it up. Your stuff goes in the spare room until you pack. You're not sleeping in our bed. Natalie stared at the key like it was an insult. You can't do that. I already did, I said. Adult logistics. Remember? She shook her head, breathing faster. Mark, you're overreacting. I stepped closer, not in her space, just close enough that she had to look at me. You don't get to decide my reaction anymore. Lauren stayed quiet, but she didn't move away. Natalie noticed that too. Natalie's voice went sharp again, switching tactics. So what, you're leaving me? After everything? After everything? I repeated. You mean after I carried this house while you treated me like a punching bag? Natalie threw her hands up. I was unhappy. Then you leave, I said. You don't run 2 lives and come home to insult me. Natalie's face crumpled into tears like a button got pressed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I'll fix it. I'll quit that project. I'll change teams, whatever you want. I shook my head once. I don't want anything from you. That's the point. Natalie wiped her cheeks, voice trembling. Are you seriously going to throw away a marriage? I nodded toward the front door. You threw it away one lie at a time. She stared at me, then at Lauren, then back to me. So this is it. This is it, I confirmed. I'm filing for a divorce. You'll pack tonight or tomorrow, but you won't be here next week. Natalie froze. You can't just. I can't, I cut in. And I am. She looked around like she expected the house to side with her. Then she tried one last move, softer voice, almost sweet. Mark, she whispered, we had plans. I nodded. Yeah, I did. You had a different plan. That landed. Her face tightened. She opened her mouth, closed it, then grabbed her keys again like she suddenly remembered she had somewhere else to be. Natalie walked toward the spare room, stopped, turned back with one final shot. You'll regret this. I smiled. Not mean, just honest. No, you will, because you're losing comfort, status, and control in one night. Her eyes flashed rage, then fear, then nothing. She turned and walked away. Lauren exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for an hour. Are you okay? I looked around my living room, the quiet, the clean lines of a life that was suddenly mine again. I'm not okay, I replied. But I'm clear. Lauren nodded. What do you need? I pointed to the couch. Sit. Don't say poor Mark. Just be human. Lauren Saturday, okay. Human mode. I dropped into the chair across from her. If I start doubting myself, remind me of the hotel. Lauren's expression hardened. I will. The next weeks weren't dramatic. They were practical. Natalie packed. She tried a few more emotional swings, sad one day, angry the next, then overly polite like we were co-workers in a hallway. I didn't bite. I kept everything clean and respectful, but distant. No long talks, no second chances, no closure, conversations that really meant more manipulation. When she tried to start an argument on the driveway, I held up a hand. Not doing that, I told her. You're acting like I'm nothing, she snapped. I nodded. I'm acting like you're an adult who made adult choices. She wanted a messy ending because messy endings keep strings attached. I gave her a quiet ending because quiet endings have locks. Months later, my life looked different. I moved into a place that felt like mine, simple, organized, peaceful. I got back into my routines. I spent time with Dwayne and a couple other guys who didn't feed drama. Work improved because my mind wasn't constantly bracing for the next insult at home. Lauren and I didn't jump into anything like teenagers. We took it slow. Coffee, long talks, small steps. She showed up consistently. No games. No need to earn basic kindness. One night, sitting on my back patio, she said, "You're lighter." I smirked. I'm not carrying someone who hates me anymore. Lauren smiled. Good. Because I'm not competing with that version of your life. You won't have to, I told her. I don't go backward. As for Natalie, I heard bits and pieces through mutual circles. Her office life didn't turn into the fantasy she'd been chasing. The social shine faded fast when she didn't have my stability underneath it. People who like secret fun rarely like real responsibility. I didn't celebrate her downfall. I just noticed the math. She spent months trying to make me small so she could feel big. In the end, the only thing that got smaller was her world. And the last thing I ever said to her, right before she drove off with her trunk packed, was simple. You didn't lose me because I stopped loving you. You lost me because you stopped respecting me. Then I went back inside my house, closed the door, and slept like a man who finally belonged to himself again.